Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! In the dimly lit break room, the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a harsh glow upon the crumpled pink gown. With hesitant fingers, Enzo reached into the plastic bag, an unexpected prize inside. His brow furrowed as he extracted the dress, a vivid contrast to his somber suit. It had once been a masterpiece, an A-line silhouette, a sweetheart neckline, and a tulle overlay that danced in the light. But now, in this mundane setting, it seemed absurd. "This can't be right," he murmured, his voice echoing in the empty space. The laughter from his colleagues seemed distant, but their challenge hung in the air. They didn't even make the playoffs. "Yeah, but I didn't think the stakes would be..." Enzo stared at the pink monstrosity in his hands. The dress looked impossibly small. "The charity run is in an hour," came Darlene's voice, unusually sympathetic compared to the others. "Do you need help zipping up?" "I've never needed help dressing myself before, and I'm not starting now," Enzo muttered, loud enough for them to hear. Their laughter redoubled. Alone in the bathroom, Enzo studied his reflection. Dark auburn hair, cut short and professional, framed a face with strong features but soft brown eyes. A face that had never been particularly masculine by conventional standards. At 32, he'd long accepted his slighter build and lack of facial hair compared to many of his male coworkers. "Just get through the 5K, and this will all be over," he whispered to himself. The dress slid over his head with surprising ease. The satin material whispered against his skin, cool and lightweight. Adjusting the straps, Enzo was startled to find the garment fit rather well for something his coworkers had picked up at a thrift store. The high empire waist disguised his flat chest, while the A-line skirt flared out just enough to create the illusion of hips. Running a hand down the bodice, Enzo caught himself admiring how the baby pink complemented his olive complexion. The thought startled him. A sharp knock interrupted his reverie. "Time's up, Enzo. The whole accounting department's waiting to see you in all your glory." Taking a deep breath, Enzo opened the door to face the firing squad. The silence was more unnerving than mockery would have been. His colleagues stared, mouths slightly open.
"Well?"
Enzo crossed his arms defensively.
"Damn,"
Mark finally said.
"You look actually nice."
Darlene circled him, adjusting a strap.
"The color really works with your hair. That auburn against the pink is striking."
Enzo shifted uncomfortably, willing the blush from his cheeks.
"Can we just get this over with? We have a run to do."
The trip to the park where the annual Cancer Awareness Charity Run was being held passed in a blur of nervous energy. Enzo had secured a donation pledge from everyone in the office. If he had to endure humiliation, at least it would be for a good cause. Stepping out of Mark's car, Enzo braced himself for public ridicule. The park was filled with participants in varying degrees of pink attire. Most wore simple pink t-shirts and running shorts. A few had donned tutus or funny hats. No one else wore a full dress.
"I look ridiculous,"
Enzo hissed to his coworkers. "You look memorable," Darlene corrected, "which means more donations for the cause." The registration table came into view. A middle-aged woman with a clipboard looked up and beamed. "Well, aren't you fabulous? Making a real statement for awareness."
I
Lost a bet," Enzo explained weakly. She waved dismissively. "Doesn't matter why. You're here, you're supporting the cause, and you're going to turn heads. She handed him a participant number. Pin this on. Well, wherever it fits best. Wandering through the pre-race crowd, Enzo became aware of something unexpected. People weren't laughing at him. They were smiling, complimenting his bravery, asking to take photos with him. Children pointed and whispered, but without malice. Several survivors in their pink solidarity shirts gave him tearful hugs. My husband wouldn't be caught dead in pink, one woman confided. Says it's not manly, but real men wear whatever color supports the people they care about. Enzo felt something shift inside him. The embarrassment began to dissolve, replaced by a strange sense of lightness. When the starting whistle blew, he found himself jogging with surprising ease. The dress fluttered around his legs, the fabric creating a pleasant sensation against his skin with each stride. Unlike the restrictive khakis and button-down shirts he wore to the office, the dress moved with him, breathed with him. Halfway through the course, Enzo realized he was smiling. The sun warmed his shoulders, and a light breeze played with the hem of his dress. His co-workers had fallen behind, but he kept a steady pace, catching up to a group of older women in matching pink visors. Love the dress, honey, one called out. You're working it. Enzo grinned, offering a small twirl that made the skirt flare. The women cheered. By the final kilometer, something remarkable had happened. Enzo had forgotten he was a man in a dress. He was simply a person, running for a cause, feeling lighter and freer than he had in years. Crossing the finish line to applause and cheers, Enzo raised his arms in victory. Someone placed a participation medal around his neck. Another person handed him a bottle of water. Cameras flashed. You're trending locally, Mark said, showing Enzo his phone when the accounting team regrouped. At Pink Dress Runner, people are asking who you are. They're asking whether you'll do this again next year, Darlene added, scrolling through comments. Enzo took a long drink of water, considering. The truth was, he didn't feel humiliated anymore. Quite the opposite. He felt oddly seen, oddly validated, in a way he hadn't before. Maybe, he said, surprising himself. If it helps raise more money. Later that evening, alone in his apartment, Enzo carefully removed the pink dress. He should have felt relief to be back in his regular clothes, loose gray sweatpants and a navy t-shirt. Instead, he felt a strange sense of loss. Hanging the dress in his closet rather than discarding it, Enzo ran his fingers along the satin material one last time before closing the door. 3 days later, browsing online during his lunch break, Enzo found himself looking at dresses. Not just any dresses. Practical, comfortable dresses in subdued colors that wouldn't draw attention. Before he could overthink it, he ordered a simple navy blue wrap dress with pockets. Just to see, he whispered to himself, quickly closing the browser window. When the package arrived, Enzo waited until nightfall to open it. The dress was exactly as pictured, conservative yet feminine, made of a stretchy material that hugged his body in flattering ways. Standing before his bedroom mirror, he admitted to himself that he liked what he saw. That night, he slept in the dress, telling himself it was simply comfortable, like pajamas. Within a month, Enzo had accumulated a small collection, hidden at the back of his closet behind his work clothes. A casual green sundress for weekends, a burgundy sweater dress for cooler evenings, a black cocktail dress he had no occasion to wear but couldn't resist. And when he wore them in the privacy of his apartment, he began thinking of himself differently. The name came to him one evening as he was cooking dinner, swaying to music in the green sundress. Madison. It felt right. It felt like coming home to a place he hadn't known existed. The first time Enzo ventured outside as Madison was 6 weeks after the charity run. He chose a modest outfit, the navy wrap dress with flats, and drove to a shopping mall 2 towns over where no one would recognize him. Heart pounding, he walked through the main entrance, waiting for stares, for confrontations. They never came. Instead, a sales associate at a cosmetics counter complimented his auburn hair. "That color would look amazing with this copper eyeshadow palette," she said, not batting an eye at his obvious masculinity beneath the feminine clothing. By the end of the shopping trip, Madison had purchased makeup, a cheap auburn wig that matched his natural color but offered length and volume, and another dress. This one, a deep purple with short sleeves. Weekends became Madison's time. Monday through Friday, Enzo crunched numbers and analyzed spreadsheets. But Friday nights through Sunday evenings belonged to her. At first, these transformations remained within the safe confines of his apartment. Gradually, Madison grew bolder. A walk in the park, dinner at a restaurant in the next county, a movie by herself. The annual charity run approached again. All year, Enzo had deflected comments about whether he would wear a dress again. His coworkers assumed his reluctance meant embarrassment over the previous year's stunt. The night before the event, Enzo stood before his closet, staring at the growing collection of dresses. Among them hung the original pink A-line that had started everything. Taking it out, he held it against himself in the mirror.
"Not quite right for this year,"
he murmured. Opening his laptop, he navigated to a bookmarked page, a custom gown in vibrant fuchsia with delicate beading and a sweeping skirt. He'd been eyeing it for weeks, saving up the considerable sum needed to purchase it. With a deep breath, he clicked Order and selected overnight shipping. The next morning, Enzo called in sick to work. The package arrived by noon, and he spent hours preparing. The auburn wig was carefully styled into loose curls. Makeup was applied with newfound skill. The gown fit perfectly, transforming his figure into something undeniably feminine. When Madison arrived at the charity run registration table, no one recognized her as last year's man who lost a bet. Instead, they saw a confident woman in a stunning pink gown, ready to run for the cause. "Madison Fisher," she said, giving the name she'd been practicing for months. "I'm registered for the 5K. The event organizer smiled. "That dress is gorgeous. Are you sure you can run in it?" "Watch me," Madison replied with a wink. Halfway through the event, someone finally made the connection. "Wait, aren't you the guy from last year? The one in the pink dress?" Madison smiled. "I'm the one in the pink dress. This year's model is a bit more elaborate, don't you think?" Word spread quickly. By the time she crossed the finish line, reporters from local news outlets were waiting. The story was irresistible. Last year's viral sensation returning with an upgraded look, raising thousands for cancer research through online pledges.
"What made you come back?"
one reporter asked. Madison considered the question. "Let's just say I found something unexpected in that first pink dress. A version of myself I hadn't met before." The headline the next day read, "Pink Dress Runner Returns. Charity Champion Raises Record Donations." The accompanying photo showed Madison in her fuchsia gown, auburn hair catching the sunlight, smile radiant with authentic joy. At work on Monday, Enzo's phone wouldn't stop buzzing with notifications. The story had spread beyond local news to several national outlets, picked up for its feel-good human interest angle.
"Dude, your dress game's seriously upgraded,"
Mark said, stopping by Enzo's cubicle.
"You didn't tell us you were planning this." Enzo shrugged, trying to appear nonchalant.
Figured if I was going to do it again, might as well go all out for the cause.
Well, the charity director called this morning. They want to make you an official ambassador for next year's event. Said donations spiked after your photos hit social media. That evening, alone in his apartment, Enzo made a decision. If Madison was going to be a public figure for the charity, she needed to exist beyond one day a year. Opening his closet, he moved the growing collection of dresses to the front, his masculine work clothes relegated to a small section on the side. Time to properly introduce you to the world, he whispered to his reflection. The transition wasn't immediate or smooth. Enzo continued presenting as male at work, but Madison began making appearances at small charity events, gradually building a presence in the community. A year passed, then another. The annual charity run became her signature event, each year's gown more elaborate than the last. By the third year, Madison had her own social media accounts, separate from Enzo's barely used profiles. She volunteered with cancer support groups, leveraging her minor celebrity status to amplify fundraising efforts. People who met her rarely connected her with the quiet accountant from Richards and Donovan. It was during the fourth annual run that everything changed. Madison, resplendent in a custom-made rose gold gown with crystal accents, was giving an interview to a regional news station when she spotted Darlene from the accounting firm watching from nearby. The camera crew finished and packed up their equipment. Madison steeled herself and approached her coworker. "Darlene, fancy seeing you here." Recognition dawned slowly on Darlene's face. "Enzo? Madison, right? That's what they called you on TV." "Yes, Madison." She smoothed the fabric of her gown nervously. "I suppose this is a bit more than just losing a bet now." Darlene studied her thoughtfully. "You know, the office has been wondering why you always take vacation days around the charity run. Now I see why." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Is this?
"This is me,"
Madison said, simply. "The real me. The one I didn't know existed until that first pink dress." To her surprise, Darlene smiled. "Well, you look fantastic. That dress with your auburn hair, absolutely stunning." Relief washed over Madison. "Thank you. I've been living a sort of double life. Enzo during the week, Madison whenever possible." "Sounds exhausting," Darlene observed. "It is," Madison admitted. "Increasingly so." That conversation planted a seed. Over the following months, Madison began considering a more permanent transition. Enzo's life felt increasingly like a costume, while Madison's identity had grown more substantial, more authentic. The decision crystallized during a meeting with the Charity Foundation's board of directors. They wanted to offer Madison a paid position as their community outreach coordinator, a significant pay cut from accounting, but work that filled her with purpose. "We'll need you full-time," the director explained. "Your presence has become synonymous with our cause." Madison took a deep breath. "I should tell you something. I currently have another job, as someone else." Understanding dawned on the director's face. "Ah, I suspected as much. Your transformation is remarkable, but there are certain administrative documents that require legal names." "My legal name is Enzo Madrigal," she said, the first time she'd spoken that truth aloud to anyone in the charity organization. The director nodded. "Would you prefer to keep that arrangement private, or?" "No," Madison said firmly. "If I take this position, I want to be Madison full-time. No more double life." The following weeks were a whirlwind of change. Madison submitted her resignation at the accounting firm,
opting for honesty in her exit interview with the HR director. "I've accepted a position that aligns more closely with my personal values," she explained, "and with my identity as Madison." Word spread quickly through the office. Some colleagues were confused, others supportive. Mark stopped by her desk on her last day. "So, you're really going all in on the dress thing, huh?" Madison smiled patiently. "It's not about the dresses, Mark. It's about finally being the person I was always meant to be." He nodded awkwardly.
Well, good luck. You raised a ton of money for that charity. That's pretty cool.
Her first day at the foundation office, Madison wore the navy wrap dress, her first purchase on that journey of self-discovery. Her auburn wig was styled simply, her makeup understated. Professional, but authentically feminine. "Welcome to the team, Madison." The director greeted her. "Your office is ready." The nameplate on the door read Madison Fisher, the name she'd chosen for herself. Seeing it displayed officially brought tears to her eyes. The 5th annual charity run approached, and for the first time, Madison was involved in the planning from the beginning. Her role expanded beyond symbolic figurehead to active organizer. She recruited sponsors, coordinated volunteers, and designed promotional materials. For this milestone year, she commissioned a dress that paid homage to the original baby pink A-line that had started everything. This version featured the same sweetheart neckline, but elevated with hand-embroidered cherry blossoms and a flowing train that could be bustled up for running. The day of the event dawned clear and beautiful. Standing at the starting line, microphone in hand, Madison addressed the crowd of participants, 3 times larger than the first year she'd run. 5 years ago, I stood at this very spot wearing a pink dress because I lost a bet," she began, her voice carrying across the assembled runners.
I was embarrassed, uncomfortable in my own skin, and eager for the experience to end.
The crowd chuckled.
But something unexpected happened that day. In that pink dress, running for this incredible cause, I found freedom. I found my authentic self.
She paused, emotion making her voice waver slightly. "We're here today to raise money for cancer research, to support survivors, and remember those we've lost. But this event is also about transformation, about hope, about becoming your truest self even when the path isn't easy." She raised her arms, the cherry blossom embellishments catching the morning light. "So, today, whether you're running your first 5K or your 50th, remember that every step forward is a victory. Every milestone is worth celebrating." The starting whistle blew, and Madison led the pack for the first 100 meters before settling into a comfortable pace. Unlike previous years, she wasn't running alone or with strangers. This year, Darlene jogged beside her, along with several colleagues from the foundation. "Your speech was beautiful," Darlene said between breaths. "Thank you." Madison smiled, feeling the familiar flutter of the dress against her legs, the sensation that had first awakened something dormant within her. "I meant every word." As they rounded the final curve toward the finish line, Madison spotted a small group holding a banner. "Madison Fisher, our pink dress hero." Among them stood Mark and several other former accounting colleagues. Crossing the finish line to thunderous applause, Madison was immediately surrounded by reporters, survivors, and supporters. The event had raised a record amount, surpassing their goal by thousands. Later that evening, as volunteers dismantled booths and packed away supplies, Madison sat on a park bench, still wearing her pink gown. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow across the emptying field. A young woman approached, hesitant.
"Excuse me, Ms. Fisher. Could I speak with you for a moment?" "Of course."
Madison patted the bench beside her.
And please call me Madison.
The woman sat, fidgeting with the hem of her shirt.
I heard your speech today.
About transformation and becoming your authentic self. She took a deep breath. I've been struggling with something similar. Not gender identity, but finding the courage to live truthfully. Madison listened as the woman shared her story, an artistic passion suppressed for a practical career, years of denying her true calling. How did you find the courage? The woman finally asked. To change everything? Madison considered the question, watching the last rays of sunlight filter through the trees. I realized that the discomfort of change was nothing compared to the pain of denying who I really was. She smoothed the fabric of her dress. We get so few years on this earth. Spending them pretending to be someone else is the greatest tragedy I can imagine. The woman nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. Thank you for everything you've done, but mostly for being visible, for showing that transformation is possible. After the woman left, Madison remained on the bench, reflecting. From a humiliating lost bet to a life-altering journey, all because of a pink dress and the unexpected freedom it had granted her. Her phone buzzed with a text from the foundation director. Board approved the expansion project. Next year's run will go national. Madison smiled. Next year would bring new challenges, new opportunities to raise awareness and funds. Perhaps a new dress design, though always in pink, her signature color now, a reminder of beginnings. Standing, she gathered the train of her gown over one arm and began the walk to her car. The charity run would always hold special significance for her, not just for the cause it supported, but for the person it had helped her become. In the distance, the last streamers and pink balloons from the event fluttered in the evening breeze. Madison Fisher watched them for a moment, then turned toward home, each step forward a testament to transformation, to authenticity, to the remarkable journey that begins when we finally allow ourselves to become who we truly are. Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!